New Thought Media Network proudly presents Having Courageous Conversations, where real talk dives deep. Each week we go beyond surface talk. We open our hearts, speak our truths, and dive into the stories that shape us. No scripts, no filters, just powerful, unforgettable conversations about life, purpose, healing, and truth. Join the conversation, because your voice belongs here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check out our YouTube channel at Having Courageous Conversations or email us at yourshowyourvoice@gmail.com. Now, let's have a courageous conversation.
The views and opinions of our guest and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of New Thought Media Network, or any organization we may be affiliated with. Here at New Thought Media Network, we welcome freedom of speech and courageous conversations. There are many topics that can be difficult to navigate. Challenging the status quo and engaging in lively debate is important to expanding our understanding of one another, and life in general. Creating a peaceful world doesn't happen because no one disagrees, it happens from a willingness to understanding one another. In our programming, we strive to expand consciousness and assist people in creating remarkable lives. Your comments are welcome at info@ntmedia.org.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Having Courageous Conversations. Courageous Conversations is a heartfelt, spirit-led online series where we explore the transformative power of honest dialogue. Rooted in authenticity, compassion, and spiritual awareness, Having Courageous Conversations brings together diverse voices to discuss topics that matter, conversations that we often avoid, yet maybe deeply need. Throughout thoughtful interviews and meaningful discussions, we explore spirituality, personal growth, community, healing, social issues, and human experience. Now join us as we have a courageous conversation with Anna. Now I'm happy to introduce Anna, but first I want to say that Cheryl is being educated right now and is at an amazing webinar. So we'll miss her today, but I think Anna and I will have no problem having some conversation. Anna has been involved with Unity for, I believe, over 30 years. And I've experienced Anna through Unity Canada, where she is the communications and connections coordinator. She helps to strengthen connections that unite Unity communities across Canada. I think that's so important. Now I'm going to read a little bit about what Anna's here to talk to us about today, because it just really struck my heart. She is a student of New Thought for 30 years. She brings both grounded love of Unity teachings and honest curiosity about what it means to live them. Interesting. You can study them, but how do you live them? She is delighted to be back at Courageous Conversation, this time sharing her thoughts on the reality of being a vessel of love and light. And what does it actually look like to walk the spiritual path and still swear when you smack your head on the cupboard door? Oh, I love this. Anna's conversation is an honest, warm exploration of sometimes messy, always sacred journey of being both fully human and fully divine. And now I'm going to stop and welcome Anna. Thank you for saying yes and being back with us today.
Absolutely.
How would you like to start our dialogue? You go, girl.
Well, like the intro right there, when you said about this time that we're having together, which is both being authentic and compassionate, there we have the beginnings of it right there. This fascinating journey of the both and, the human and the divine. It's just, I don't know. I found almost every time that I present to a Unity congregation or have these kinds of conversations, it's always about me trying to understand this beautiful intersection, this holding of this both. It's a challenge. It's a real challenge. So that's what we're up. This is what's up for us today. This is what we're going to dive into.
This is what's and do you find it easy, like being like walking them really spiritual, like today I'm really spiritual and la-di-da, and then all of a sudden, like you said, you hit your head on that cupboard door. And
well,
so what does that look like for you?
I mean, that's what it's so perfect about it. And that's why the cupboard door thing came to play. So just, let's just create this scenario, which I'm going to guess is going to be familiar to you and to anyone who's listening. So I'm coming in with all my groceries, walking into my kitchen, I have all my bags of groceries on the floor, and I have my kitchen counter, and I have the cupboards, of course, above. So as I start to put things away, I open the cupboard doors for easy access, bend down to get the pieces of groceries that I need to put into the cupboard, and then come up and crack my head on the open cupboard. And we've all been there. But oh my gosh, what came out of my mouth? If this is like spirit expressing, it is one heck of a vocabulary. Let me tell you, it's very colorful. And in that moment, I remember having the thought, oh my gosh, like, how can this be, right? And then it was back on to putting groceries away. But then another thing that sort of arose in my life was the passing of my cat that I had for 18 years. She was my girl. And yes, I hold that every living entity, never really truly dies. And yet, in that moment, being so heartbroken and being so tearful for days after I lost her, feeling bereft. It was, again, this very interesting noticing of trying to be in these two worlds where I was holding both of these. And then the ultimate one for me, I think you were at the same Unity Canada conference, and we were it was an in-person conference, and we were being accommodated in a place that had multiple floors, and it had an elevator to get there. My room was upstairs, and I am afraid of elevators. Really, like, I was super sticky being afraid of elevators and going in them. So I remember standing at that elevator bank, pushing the button, and having a dear friend and a minister standing beside me. And she knew of my fear. And she said, if you can think about it and just recite the prayer for protection. She said, before you know it, you will have arrived at your floor and you're off, and all will be well. And I remember thinking, yeah, she's right. Yes. And I still took the stairs. There was no way I was going to get on the elevator. So again, fear, right? So like, it's like this anger and then the sadness and this fear. And I think all of this is so much the human journey. How do I walk this path of being the both? And then that took me into some reflection, and I've got some thoughts on that. Can you relate though, Mark, to this?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I thank you for the question. I get a little riled when I hear speakers talk about all you need to do is this. You could just, breathe it in, know your love, and I just want to say, it's not all about that. It's both and so I have to say that my defenses go up, and I have a hard time believing the message that is being given because it puts a should there. No, you shouldn't be feeling this. You should be doing this, and all is good. And the term spiritual bypass comes to mind. And so I really embrace it, the both, because if I try to push away the I don't want to say the negative, because it is all if I push away what is happening, the fear, the anger, the sorrow, then I'm not being authentic. And that is not, in my opinion, spiritual to me.
Right. Oh, I love it. Oh, you and I are so in the right place at the right time. So I'm going to
There you
encourage you to
go.
hold that, because I want to come back and revisit what you said, and I want to name it something different, and I want to name it spiritual shaming. So just let's circle back to that, okay? Because I think that's part of this really courageous conversation that we can have today. So we'll do that. So
Thank you.
I wanted to share with you and the audience a poem that I came across as I was going through this kind of discernment. You know, what is this? Is this both and? Am I this or that? And either or, really wrestling with it. And in a conversation with Reverend Yvonne Racine out of Unity Edmonton, she read this poem, and when she read it, I thought, oh my stars, this is it. This really says it to me. So with your permission, it's about 2 minutes. It's not short, but it's humorous, and I think it's right on point. Are you okay if I do this?
Absolutely. Please do.
Okay. So the poem is by Rich Orloff, and it's called A Vessel of Love and Light. This is what he says. I am a vessel of love and light, except when I haven't slept very well, and then I'm just cranky. I am a vessel of love and light, except when people interrupt me, and then I think, hey, I'm the vessel of love and light, so shut the hell up. I am a vessel of love and light, except when I'm on hold with Verizon, and then I would like to smite Verizon. I am a vessel of love and light, but sometimes when I see another vessel of love and light, I get vessel envy. I am a vessel of love and light, except last Thursday, don't even ask me. I am a vessel of love and light, except when I'm around my family. When I'm around your family, I can be a vessel. I am a vessel of love and light, except when I'm reciting a poem and looking out at everyone looking at me, and I begin to wonder, do these people even like vessels of love and light? I am a vessel of love and light, but I'm not always skillful at it. Sometimes the love comes out as ambivalence, and the light comes out like a glare. I am a vessel of love and light, except when I'm unsure of myself, hungry, or feeling broken, or when I don't believe my needs will get met by being myself. And I refuse to be vulnerable or even ask that my needs be met, because I'm afraid if I do, someone may destroy my vessel. So I turn inward and I affirm I am a vessel of love and light. And when I miss the mark, may I meet myself with compassion, for it's okay. Being a vessel is hard, and it can feel scary to let the love and light either in or out. And if I can remember this with every breath, then I will be a vessel of love and light.
Beautiful. For me, it was humorous, as you said, and heartfelt and real.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's just it, right? It's the realness of it that is just it's the human journey. It's certainly my journey. Can't speak for all humans, of course, but it's certainly my journey, and very much spoke to this discernment that I was trying to make about what was happening in the swear words coming out of my mouth, and yet, showing up on a conversation like this, hoping to be somewhat spiritual in nature. So it was just a very on point piece when I received that. So then what started my sort of looking into this is I thought, okay, so who can I look at? Whose life can I look at? Who was actually holding the both and I ended up looking at Myrtle and coming back to the journey that Myrtle Fillmore went through with that tuberculosis diagnosis that she had, right? Which was in her day was a death sentence, right? I think they gave her like 6 months to live. And what was so interesting is that, you know, she didn't fight it, or she didn't flee from it. She went toward it, right? She went toward her body. She started this in-depth conversation with all of her cells and loving them almost back into life. And it was a long process. It was over 2 years, but she was part of holding that both and. She was in pain and suffering, and she was also doing and being this loving being, holding this broken body sacred. So very much that both and moment. I see it as such. Do you see that too, or can you see it in that light, Mark?
I'm trying to so what's going through my mind is that it's all spiritual. Whether the swear words are coming out or whatever, the swear words are spiritual too. And I don't mean living a life of that's all that I say.
Yep.
That both and comes together for me as spirituality.
Yes.
And then where do I take it from there?
Yeah. Yeah, it is the path, right? It is the path. And we always in Unity, we say we hold Jesus as a way shower, and he too in the Garden of Gethsemane, which is a really powerful one for me. He in that moment, that whole passage is so human. This is him saying, take this cup from me, right? Like beam me up, Scotty, get me out of here. I don't want to go through what I now know I have to go through. And in the end, and almost in the second breath, he's saying, but not my will, thine, right? So here you have this being who is both anguished and surrendered together again, right? Like again, it's this beautiful demonstration of this both and. So this is what's sort of been leading me into this understanding, Mark, that as I walk this path, the tension between those two is in fact the spiritual sacred path. Both are holy. Both are, yes, you say that too?
Yes. And I don't know that I've heard anybody say it quite as you have. And so now you've come to this oh, my screen just went black.
Oh my gosh,
but I'm back. So now that you've come to this awareness, this conclusion, you're done. Like you don't have to learn anymore, right?
Yeah, if only. It gives me a framework though, and this goes back to what you started to say, and which I again thought about, and I realized when something else came up in a conversation I was having with somebody that was sounding a lot like this. We should be okay spending a certain amount of money because we believe in abundance, prosperity, right? An infinite, abundant universe. And my caution would be, I have to try and get this out because it's still a percolating thought, but my caution would be is even though we think we're expressing that from a good, knowledgeable, and spiritual place, it can sound like spiritual shaming. It can sound like, oh, if I can't hold the both and, it's very easy for me when I was whopping my head and listening to my sailor-like words come out of my mouth, it's really easy to think, oh my gosh, I should have known better than that. If I had been spiritual, I never would have done that. And internal. It's how I shame myself with not being spiritual enough. And when I
Yes.
hear it in others, I can hear external spiritual shaming landing on me because I'm not living a wondrous, enlightened existence on this plane, right? Does that
Mm.
make sense? Yeah,
Yes, yes, I
yeah.
I believe so. And my head just went to a fairly recent conversation that Unity Kitchener had about being abundant and also uh, uh, you can hold on to finances and be fearful, or you can say, hey, we are prosperous and abundant and break the bank. Like, why can't we do both? And I'm so grateful to be on a board and a leadership team that works that way. It's both and. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And that's the
but
really
it's
key
not one or
word.
the other.
Yes, that's the key word. Like, I'm starting to realize that when I hear or in my thinking or in my vocabulary or discussions, it's almost as powerful as the word should. I know how we've all been sort of trained up on the word should. Um, and
Yes.
or is the same way, because or indicates we've absolutely gone into a binary, right? It means we've got two things. It's not oneness. It's not together. So your example, one can be prudent with funds, and you know what I mean? Like, it's both. And your board worked with that concept, it sounds like, and landed well with it.
Yes. Yes, that's my interpretation, as well as the not just the board, but the leadership team and staffing too. Like we um, talked about things. I can't think of a better word than things, but there you go. It's
Yeah, yeah,
things,
yeah.
and yeah, it's a balance, and it's not an or. And I wrote down or. That's a really good word that I'm going to process,
Yeah,
and it will, like you said, the word should, is every time the word should comes up, I go,
yeah. Touch yourself, right?
no
Yeah,
shitting on yourself.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
now
yeah.
it'll be the word or.
Or
Oh my goodness.
well,
Yeah, my goodness. Yeah.
it increases the way that we show up, right? And we know the power that words hold. So that
Mm.
too is that reinforcing a separateness. Every time I do an or, it's that, right? And I'm, you know what? I'm just living this as I go. I'll get back to you on how it works, but it's a work in progress, which I consider myself an ongoing work in progress. But I do think this whole separation piece is works counter to where we're trying to really go, right? Which is oneness in all things. There's no separation between me and you, it and them. There is no separation there, right? It's all one, and it's one new way for me to hold this, that these things that I say bump up against, in my human living, to not see them as like the obstacle to my spiritual path, but part of my spiritual path, right? They're there. They're there to grow me, I think, one way or
Mm.
the other. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, you and I just agree. This
Sometimes
thing.
don't you want your cap and gown though? Don't you just want your cap and gown? Okay, I've grown
Oh,
enough. I've learned
like,
this
if
lesson already. Stop it.
if oh, I just, yeah, when a younger me was really believed that was actually going to happen, like that life
Mm.
graduation would really happen. And now,
Yeah.
yeah, in this sort of like fourth chapter of my life, I actually feel like the learning is ramping up for me. I think everything that came before was groundwork to this accelerated pace of learning right now. I feel I'm learning much more
Mhm.
about me right now and my interconnectedness with my whole world. And just that's just part of the journey, right? It's just I like to think of it as an immersive spiritual journey. So when I swear that too, it's part of my spiritual journey. I'm all
It's
in.
so interesting. It's so interesting. You know, people that are going to watch that and know me and hear what you're saying, they're going to go, "Oh, Marg, you're in the right place at the right time," because I'm known for expressing myself with a potty mouth sometimes. And even though I may not do it often, there are those that live in anticipation. Oh, wait, what's Marg going to say here? And so even the implication of what Marg might say, for me, this might sound weird, but is spiritual as well. And because it brings humor, it brings a smile to people's face. And you know, do I say it sometimes in anger? Yes. But it's just this whole perception now that's been built up, and people just wait, okay, what's Marg going to say here? Or what's Marg going to imply? And there's this, you know, if it brightens somebody's day, if it makes somebody laugh, just the anticipation or the thought, to me, that can be spiritual as well. So we're almost at halfway, believe it or not. And I'm going to pose a question, then maybe we can come back to this. So different situations involve where we're all connected, but not everyone I face. I may not appreciate their character or what they say, or you know, I can just let's come back to that. Like, let's go to the big one, you know, somebody who's orange, and you know, how is that person one with me? And then there's everyday life where, you know, interactions are with people that so let's go for a break and come back and put you on the spot there, Anna.
That'll be great. Love it.
Okay. So Deja's going to take us away, and we'll have a commercial break for about 2 minutes, and then stay with us. And we're going to have more of Courageous Conversations.
Having Courageous Conversations is proudly sponsored by Unity Kitchener. We are a welcoming spiritual community where open dialogue, personal growth, and authentic connection are encouraged. Join us Sundays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern for inspiration, reflection, and meaningful conversation. Learn more at unitykitchener.org. Unity Kitchener, a positive path for spiritual living.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you.
Welcome back. So I sort of set the stage for Anna to speak of her impression or how does she digest when the cupboard door is in human form. So you smack against a person that.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so you laid the groundwork that we can sort of go in a few different directions of this. So you've talked about like when you or any of us come up against someone who we just don't get them, or we rail against them, or they just rub our fur the wrong way. That's my favorite expression, because we've all got them. I mean, my gosh, as much as I would love to think that this life is a love fest with everyone, we are not there yet. So these people are constantly showing up in my life. And I know my path has been one, and I can see it clearly again from this fourth chapter that I'm in right now, how I used to take all of it so personally. I would always bring it back into me. I've learned to see someone who is just simply different than me and not make it anything more than that. And I truly believe that the triggering aspect of that for me is because there is some element there that I do need to look at. It's for me. That's my like a sort of a worldview that I bring in. If it's showing up in any way, shape, or form, it's for me. So then I can be curious. And this is the gift of curiosity. If I can stay in curiosity, which I'm grateful that's fairly easy for me to do, as I think it is for a lot of people in New Thought, to hold that view of curiosity, I can be open to that question about, so why is this being so triggering for me? And I have to sit with that. And sometimes, it's a really deep thing for me too, Marg. I'm not instantly aware of, oh, I get that. That's because X, out of my childhood, out of my early years. But I in time can almost always get to the truth that's there for me that I need to look at. So that's one, I'd say, exploration that I would do. Does that resonate with you in some way?
It does. It does. And it depends on the situation or the person. And, if I've had a good night's sleep or whatever, if I can go to the curiosity. I'm certainly less reactive now in this stage of my life than I was in the past. But yeah, some situations are, depending on the circumstance, it's really difficult to not feel so judgmental. There's the word.
Yeah.
And how are you behaving this way?
Yeah, I get that. And it's sort of in that statement that you said is a sense that I think many of us hold, is that we hold the concept that stuff is supposed to be easy to understand and fair and all of that. And sometimes stuff just isn't. And that makes me think of the power in Byron Katie's work. She came to doing her work out of her own desperate situation in a moment of, let's call it enlightenment for shorthand. And really, look who's just popped in. There's a fun, happy face. Lovely to see you.
Thank you. So lovely to see you too. And don't let me interrupt. I apologize for not being here for the first half, but yeah, I know that things probably went very smoothly and that you guys did well, and you don't need me to be here, but I'm here just to listen today.
Great. Well, we're happy to include you in the conversation.
Yeah, right.
We're just talking about people that trigger us, like people who show up late to meetings. And so I was just we're just exploring that, and I was just saying for me, it's not easy, but I've moved it from being a personal thing into understanding that yeah, it doesn't have to be easy, but there's something in this for me. And so I ride that wave. And the work of Byron Katie for me has been particularly helpful because her premise is when you fight reality, you lose. And it sounds kind of brutal to the point. And there's a lot of heft in that. There's a lot of weight in that because reality has already happened. You know, there's no change of that, which has just already happened. And when we rail against it, that's your point about judging it. We judge it, we rail against it, we call it wrong, we call it it shouldn't be, we call it by many different names. But the reality is it is reality, and so that's where we then lose our power because we're fighting against something that is. And there's a lot of things maybe we don't like in the world and on the world stage. And yet, if I follow her chain of thinking, which I believe to be worthy of following, is we can never judge whether something ultimately is ever bad or good. And then, Marg, we come back to, there's our lovely word or, right? Right away, we see binary. There we get back into the or. And the reality is often stuff holds both what we would call good and bad. I see world leaders sometimes behaving in ways that I could judge and name bad in lots of different ways. And the good out of that helps me grow because I say, I am not that. I'm able to get clarity on who I am, who my country is, my province is. I am not that, right? So this is then could be labeled good. So for me, it's hard to take that stance of good, bad, label. But don't misunderstand me. Do I sit here with a halo because I never judge? Oh, yes, that's me. No. I walk down the street sometimes and I'm muttering all these little thoughts to myself and I'm thinking, okay, Anna, tune-up time here. You think you don't judge? Just listen to what's going on up there. It's humbling.
You remind me of Martha Creek. Martha Creek will say, oh yeah, well, tell your face.
Yeah.
You think you're doing this? Oh yeah, okay, tell your face.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, really. And I mean, and again, I think many of the people that I've encountered in New Thought over these many years, there is a humility, there is a humbleness that is part of their nature because that tends to be our makeup, right? Which goes hand in hand with an unlocked position about something, which is again the mate to our curiosity, right? We're not locked into a position. We stay more open. Generally speaking, this has been my experience of people who are the New Thought, the people that embrace New Thought. So does that in any way, or in what way does it address your thought, Marg? You had the thought.
Yes, and so yes. Cheryl's probably thinking, okay, but Marg is in the background going, but. So, being an active bystander. So you see a situation, a person abusing someone. And so we can have this, thinking of, okay, what's my lesson here to learn? And when do you jump in? Where does the judgment go? Can you talk to that? It doesn't even have to be an abusive situation. It's just something that I would suggest that there's no other word but wrong. It's just wrong. So take us down that road, if you will.
Okay, I will. You're never going to invite me back.
You're brave, really, Anna. You're brave and you're wonderful and you're such a joy to be with. And you just said, okay, you're going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Take it on.
Yeah, it's a good one, and it's a really good question, and there's multiple ways I might and actually do approach this, like, and what's mine to do. And again, it depends on the situation, Mark, right? I mean, you're describing really in that situation can be on a continuum of that, but what's mine to do in this? And I've come to realize, boy, this is a humbling part too. At this chapter of my life, it's not all for me to do. This is a major revelation. Because prior young years, I think, wow, everything is mine to do. That's just not true. Like, there's a lot of great people out there, and what's happening maybe in a large scale is theirs to do. I would do something different, but that big thing they're doing to counter it, it's not mine to do. I know more now about my role. And I don't know whether you ladies have read the book. Did you, can you see this? Oh, it's in reverse, right? But anyway, it's Understanding Your Soul, the Channeled Wisdom of Jesus. Did you guys both read that?
I
Yeah?
did.
No. Yeah. Okay. So,
I'm not finished.
So
I've got it. Is that the first or the second? Because there's two now.
First.
Okay, there's another
first.
one. Yeah, I got it down at the village.
Yeah, so I'm in a small group that we're just unpacking it. The four of us get together and we just go a chapter at a time and unpack it. But we're basically done. We've got like the very last session to do. But I cribbed together out of so this is a channeled voice of Jesus, is what we're, to any listener that's out there. This is a woman who channels Jesus. So it's a very simple and repetitive teaching I find in this book, which is so powerful because it's not complex. Mm-hmm. And he repeats in many different ways, all of them simple, but there's core messages that he just keeps coming back to. And many times in our group, we think, oh, wow, thank heavens, this is the way this is being delivered, because it takes us 6 and 7 times to hear it, to think, okay, we kind of get it now. One part of what he was saying at the end, and I've kind of done a little bit of paraphrasing here, but if I may, I'll read it because it's relevant a little bit to what we're talking about here. This is what he's saying in his words, but I've just shortened it down. When you do not know what is going on, what to say, what to do, love is always the fallback position. Start every day speaking the intention to be a being of love. It will never be perfect. You are not meant to be beings of unconditional love while you are your human self, but you are meant to work toward it. Beautiful. So and I think, wow, that's it. Again, I don't know about you ladies, but this whole vessel of love and light gig, for me, I've taken that in as I need to be this being of unconditional love, which I don't know about you. I personally find this very challenging. And again, it comes back to hearing the words come out of my mouth when I've smacked my head on that cupboard. And these people that I bump up against that are not like me, they are opposite to me. They hold different views, different personality traits. And I think, ooh, yeah, I just want to rail against it and make it wrong. But then this piece helps because I realize I want to stand in front of them and just grasp my heart and say, oh, it's okay that you're a pain in the fanny, because I am unconditional love and I just embrace you fully. And you know what? I've not been able to do that once. That's my reality.
Well, and it's a good thing that it says, that we don't know how to love unconditionally. And I've thought about that for a while. We say, I love you unconditionally. Well, really, do I? Because if you put a foot wrong, do I still love you? Am I still going to be there for you?
It's totally.
Right? So it's conditional. It's
Yeah,
conditional,
it
and
is. It is.
and
It is.
relationships are conditional. They're
Yes.
they're like a silent contract, if you know,
Mhm.
you will. But while you were talking about that, Anna, I thought about, it's easier, I think, to love someone unconditionally that we don't have a relationship with.
Uh, yes, distance is in our favor. I always say, when I was married for a lot of years, and we lived on the West Coast. My mother-in-law was in Ontario, and I always said I could love my mother-in-law proportionate to how many miles were between us.
And
It was in my
what I'm
home. It would
thinking
have been
about
a
is,
lot.
that's hilarious. And what I'm thinking of too is it's okay to have boundaries, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
having someone
yes.
in your life, and yes, I'll take you here, you know, or no, I don't have to judge, but I know where I want to be and who I want to be with in my life. And right now, you're not fitting into where I can feel whole. And so I think for me, it's okay to be a spiritual person and to set boundaries for myself.
Yeah, and I think boundaries. I'm still learning this one and will until I'm out of here. And I'm seeing more and more, learning more and more that how boundaries are self-love.
Yeah.
Right. This is a very loving way to treat self, and I think that's a key thing because, as we've all heard a gazillion times, again, you can't love others any more than you truly love, honor, and hold yourself sacred, right? You can't do that for others if you can't do it for self. And boundaries, I think, are an essential ingredient of self-love, right? Like a self-worth, self-value. So yeah,
I think they
I
can
agree.
also be boundaries can also be loving to for when you're setting boundaries, they may not see it and they may not feel it, the person that you might be setting boundaries with, but sometimes what you're doing is you're loving them by doing that.
Mhm.
You're not, you know, because we can also what's the word, you know, have people rely on us. There's, how do you say that, you know, have people rely on us, and we don't set boundaries, and we keep giving, and we keep doing this, and we keep doing that. And is that healthy for them? And is that healthy for me?
Well, that's the parenting path right there, Cheryl, is that, right? Loving boundaries is what one very quickly has to learn in parenting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this goes back to the close relationship stuff, right?
Exactly.
Living as I do on my own, I find life can be very smooth because I've only got me on this shoulder and me on this shoulder. And it's amazing. They often just agree with each other. So I've got no friction to rub up against that creates actually growing opportunities. You know, I mean, that's what they really are when you're in some kind of close relationship, right? And this gets to be the living challenge of the both and, right, of holding that, like being in any kind of loving relationship, a parent one, a sibling one, a romantic one, anything.
The word that I was looking for was enabling. We can be enabling if we don't set boundaries, even as difficult as it is, and even as it won't often be appreciated in the moment. It's something that sometimes one has to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's boundaries and love, right? It's both. Again, it comes back to this both and. Since honestly, I don't think I'm cracking any great new ice here. Believe me, ladies. I'm this both and I'm sure has been around a new thought for a gazillion years. However, I'm just catching up. So that's why I ended up doing a Sunday talk about it, and why I thought, okay, I want to speak about this in Courageous Conversations too, because Cheryl, an early thing I tossed out to Marg was it started to smack of spiritual shaming, which I haven't heard of, but I think exists, you know, when someone can say, well, yeah, but our fifth principle is llama, llama, llama. I can hear that as making me wrong and bad because of the thought that I'm holding.
Right.
And then I thought, and it happened recently with a friend, and I thought, wow, this really feels like shaming to me. But it's got the spiritual covering on it. And I wanted to ask you guys, you ladies, because you've done so many of these conversations. Is spiritual shaming a thing?
My opinion is yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. So the reason I was late is I was in a webinar earlier, and it was about self-differentiation, which was so interesting and such a rich discussion. But one of the things that we spoke about, and that I've also been sort of writing a little bit about, is spiritual bypassing. Spiritual bypassing. So saying, for example, I had said something in another group about something I'm realizing and how I'm growing. And, I thought this and now I think this. And somebody said, yes, and is it not all one? And so I was like, okay, yes, it is. And to me, that can be spiritual bypassing, because I am a human being, the spiritual side of me having a human experience, and I'm learning and growing and transforming my human self to be able to expand my consciousness here and to remember who I am. So if I just say, well, yeah, we're all one, it's both, let's just leave it at that. I felt that wasn't resonating with me, because we have to recognize that we are here for a reason, and that we are not spiritual beings on this planet. We are human beings.
Yeah, yeah. It's really interesting, and I have to say, and I don't know where you are with time right now on the show, but I've always have been confused when I've heard people often tossing out the term spiritual bypassing. And for me, when I felt the shame of what I was doing, if I had been more spiritual, this person was inferring, I would have no difficulty parting with this money. So there was no room in that conversation for me to be a smart money manager. There was only room in that conversation for me to be shamed because I wasn't embracing the cost. And that felt different to me than what I think spiritual bypassing is.
So I think there is shaming as well. And I think it's also recognizing whose it is. What she's saying, is it her? Is it for you to feel, or is that her?
Yeah,
and it's just something to contemplate, right? Because if I feel shame, I'm allowing her words to create shame.
Yeah. Yes, true. Oh no, I mean, and this goes back to what Marg and I were saying, that when something is triggering, I as much as possible move into curiosity. What's here for me? Because
Beautiful.
anything that's showing up for me, I believe is mine then to work on. But I was surprised that it came out of the mouth of a minister. I thought, I don't know that I'm really comfortable with that. It just sort of feels like,
Yeah, and ministers are human beings too.
I know. And that is such a valid statement. And this is something that has been part of this learning. And I think that's been how I've held other positions as pure. So this again starts to be then, what Marg and I were saying, this is my path. Then why do I hold that as a concept, right? How did that arrive? And how can I unpack it? Because the compassion part for me always is, if I'm going through all of this stuff, sure as shooting, you are, Marg is, we all are, right? None of us get to go on a grassy little ride of smooth. smooth. We just don't. That's just not. But that's not here. I've never grown an inch out of a smooth circumstance ever.
Absolutely.
It's always been heartache, you know, angst, something that pushes me into that next thing that I need to learn about, embrace, understand, or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have we solved all the world's problems on this call, ladies?
No, but
We certainly did.
What I said, what I like is, you know, you're saying you're open and curious, and I think for me, that's part of the journey: being open and curious, and being willing to change my mind about something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
you know, those are the things.
And
authentic, honest,
and
authentic with ourselves.
Yeah.
If not, you know, with ourselves. I think that's really.
What I was thinking of, Cheryl, was when I spoke about boundaries, and I didn't bring it up about boundaries with this in mind. But Cheryl sent me a text earlier and said, "Hey, Marg, are you able to do the show on your own? Because this is what's come up for me." And I said, "I'll get back to you. Let me just process it." And I believe Cheryl was able to ask me that question because she knows that I have set a boundary. Don't know if that's the right word, that you can ask me anything and I will always say yes or no, like, because that's where I am in my life right now. And so I was able to process it, knowing Cheryl knows who I am, knowing that I'm at a place where I can process things and go, okay, yeah, I'm good to be here on my own. Do I think it's better with two? Probably, but yeah, Anna and I will do it, and it's all good. Pardon me?
I said sometimes, maybe not always.
But
for facilitation,
it was just that whole process of me being me, presenting as me authentically when I can. I think allowed this whole situation to come to be, and we are 2 minutes away from saying goodbye for today. Anna, quick, how would you like to end the show today? Any last thoughts?
I would just say, stay curious, stay loving.
Yeah.
Curious and loving. Wow. Yeah. Shorter than I thought, but awesome. And Cheryl, you came in a little bit later, and so you look like you're just revving to go now.
I hope I didn't interrupt the conversation and go off on a different, but it was great, the part that I was here, and I'll certainly listen to the other part. So for me, I think it's also what I liked about what you said was, you know, what's this about for me? I think asking that question and not always assuming and looking outside for an answer, but going within.
I'm going to take away the word "or" and process that now. Be careful, Cheryl, because I'm going to be going, "Oh, or," instead of "should." We're going to eliminate the word or I'm going to eliminate the word "or" now. It's been just so. It's been great to have you here, Anna. I look forward to seeing you in other adventures, exploring our love of Unity as well as dark chocolate. And stay tuned from today, going through the summer, we will be having courageous conversations, past recordings. So stay tuned for that. And if you would like to see this episode again or any other episode, you can find us on our website, unitykitchener.org.
Yeah, .org.
Cheryl?
Or YouTube.
Help.
Yep.
Or YouTube. Yes. It's been awesome to have you here today. And subscribe.
Yes. Thank you, Anna. Don't go away. It's been wonderful. Bye for now.
It has been great. Bye, ladies.